Well, this week, we're at war with Iran. Smart? Probably not. Done for the right reasons? Probably not. A huge opportunity for the Iranian people? That's what we're going to discuss on this week's Regime Toppling episode of the InfoHazard Podcast Show.
I wish we did more of those
Regime
toppling episodes.
This episode is what finally did in the regime. Yeah, that would make sense.
It's not impossible, dude. Small people can cause big changes. The Arab Spring started when one fruit seller was getting hassled by a government agent, you know?
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know about that.
He lit himself on fire, though, right? So if you, unless you're like that level dedicated, maybe we shouldn't use him as the example.
Yeah, let's not do that, or we're not there. We're not there yet. But no, the regime that I'm talking about is not the American regime, sadly. We're talking about the Iranian regime. Iranian, I'm going to randomly pick. How do you guys pronounce Iran? Obviously, leave a comment. Is it like, how do you say it?
You guys like us, or you guys like the audience?
You guys like the audience, and also you guys like Danny and Phil. How do you guys say?
And I ran so far away. No, Iran.
I just stubbornly refuse to acknowledge the name, and I just call it Persia.
One of those.
Dodge the issue.
Old school.
I mean, most, Iranian Americans that I know also call it Persia. So, you're not crazy. Well, you are, but not for that.
I'm sort of like a new old school guy. I'm a big Qajar dynasty guy.
Dang, that's a deep cut by my standards.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the new DLC for Civ 7. That's my research for the week, is Qajar.
Okay. Nice. Well, unless you live under a rock, and Iran is not under a rock, it's kind of like to the northeast.
If you are in Iran, it might be a good idea to live under a rock for as long as you can hold out.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so this week, Israel and the U.S. started a large bombing campaign. They felt the time was right since they, for whatever reason, and they've killed Ayatollah Khomeini, many other leaders. Iran has retaliated. 3 American service members are dead right now. It's Sunday night when we're recording this. And I think 5 others are wounded. Tens of other people in
the numbers. Mostly... I mean, the numbers are pretty shaky. It's still fog of war for us at this point. I saw one report that was like 200 casualties, but it was from an Iranian source. And I trust American sources about as much as I trust Iranian sources at this point. They're both really, really bad. I don't trust the Pete Hegseth military very much. So it might be more service members.
Okay. I mean, yeah, we'll see. I think eventually people will find out about American service members dying. I haven't heard of any covered up American service member deaths. But yes, so do you believe that any U.S. service members have died? Or
definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think he's saying there's more than 3. Not.
So
I was just saying 3 is maybe low, 200 is definitely high. It's some amount of people. A lot of people got hurt in bombings on U.S. bases around the Middle East.
Well, and also not just U.S. bases, right? So a lot of the retaliation seems to kind of have hit civilian infra. In
Tel Aviv got bombed, Dubai got bombed, Bahrain got bombed.
Right, which is interesting. Feels like an immediate strategic mistake from Iran, because, I don't know, to turn would-be neutral parties against them.
But they're not that neutral, and especially in Iran's eyes, right? Because they're hosting U.S. bases that are being used in the attacks.
Fair enough. There's levels of neutrality. So you're right, other things. So, an interim successor has been announced by the regime. The Ayatollah being gone does not mean that the regime is gone, which is a lot of what we're going to talk about. A girls' school was bombed. At least dozens appear to be dead. Here's what Donald Trump had to say about it. I'm not going to start wars. I'm going to stop wars.
I mean, that's not all that he said, though. He's also in the past said Obama is going to start a war because he's bad at negotiating. Kamala Harris is going to start a war with Iran. She's bad at negotiating. So does that mean he's bad at negotiating?
Yeah, sorry. No, but that quote was from the campaign. No, the more recent quote about Iran from Trump is, tonight I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. You guys might remember that. That was actually from June last year.
Guess they rebuilt them lickety-split, dude.
Right. Or no, wait, were you were doing a switcheroo on us, right?
I am. I did a double switcheroo.
Okay.
I'm not
Okay.
sure that made sense.
It's
The
too
No,
many
I got it. I
switcheroos.
think we're too deep. Pull us
Okay.
back out. Pull us out of the rubble. The
No,
rubble
anyway.
of Esfahan and Fordau.
Anyway, yeah, I think like point being, Trump has been he's been consistently dishonest about Iran. So here's his recent announcement, or here are a couple quotes from Mar-a-Lago at 3 a.m. They attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland. Probably a lie. We're going to annihilate their navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces, and no longer use their IEDs or roadside bombs, as they're sometimes called, to so gravely wound and kill thousands and thousands of people, including many Americans. Some of the points he's making are, I think, defining the objectives of America in Iran, or his objectives. Of course, this was done with no consultation of Congress and with zero honest collaboration with the American people.
They let him get away with it with Venezuela, so this is how it's going to be done until we get new leadership in.
I've been reading and watching a lot about this to prepare for the episode and just to wrap my head around it. Israel has been at war with Iran's proxies, Hamas and Hezbollah, mostly over the last couple of years in Gaza and Lebanon. Back in June of last year, they participated in this bombing and this sabotage within Iran. And you might remember Iran launched a big counter volley of rockets, and the Iron Dome was near flawless shooting them down. And so, yeah, this was another joint Israeli and American strike. Yeah, it's an interesting situation because I don't trust Donald Trump at all, and I don't trust his judgment at all. And yet, Iran's government is incredibly evil and hostile to the U.S. And as far as I can tell, I mean, it's basically just headed towards dystopian North Korea style nuclear dystopia, but also exporting terrorism around the region. So, this is how we kind of go to war these days, is the president just does it. And for however screwed up that is, I think there's some really interesting questions about what the future holds for Iran and what can be done to make it good. All the criticisms are so obvious, right? The fact
Here we go again.
The fact that
Another
it's so
war
reckless.
in the Middle East.
Just, I mean, do you want 9/11s? Because this is how you get 9/11s. Just assassinating a major religious leader in the Middle East.
Or to go back to what you were saying a minute ago, Iran is hostile to the U.S. Oh, really? Why? Why is that? Why are they hostile to the U.S.? It must be just no reason at all, right? Of course, we've never, interfered with their affairs or fucked with them at all. Certainly not within, middle-aged person's lifetime. Yeah,
this is definitely coming full circle with America's intervention in Iran, with installing the Shah in the 50s. And right, so America's last major intervention in Iran was so unpopular that the Khomeinis took power, or not, they're not related. The Ayatollahs came to power, but somehow the only two supreme leaders, and as far as I can tell, their last names are very similar, Khomeini, but not relatives. So I'm going to ask a couple questions to you guys and to our audience, and who knows, maybe some of them will be answered by the time the show goes out. Question number 1: will the Iranian regime be overthrown?
How soon? Eventually, yes.
Sure,
anytime
right.
soon, I don't think so.
Okay, and why not?
I don't think you'll just be able to bomb them out of power, right? You just kill people at the top. There's just gonna more extreme people are gonna take their spot.
As much as Trump criticizes Obama, or that was his main shtick of getting into power, it does seem like he's taking an Obama-style approach to this war so far. I mean, this is, a couple days in, and by the time this episode gets published, who knows? Obama was pretty reticent to put boots on the ground. Trump is even more reticent to put boots on the ground, shown much more favor for these big shock and awe bombing assassinations.
PR wars.
Yeah. Very
tough
impressive, incredibly difficult to pull off shows of force from the most sophisticated and powerful military in world history, which, is good PR, but it doesn't do fucking shit in terms of changing the government. Venezuela is still run by the same government.
I think a lot of people see this. I mean, or one of the main flaws in the U.S. strategy in Iraq was the de-Baathification, right? Just this casting out of everyone in the power structure. Contrast that with the approach in Venezuela, where it's just like payoff number 2, basically, or like find someone. You don't have to go very far until you find someone pliable. But like in this case,
if that's your definition of regime change, then it's already been accomplished. They assassinated Khomeini, so
yeah, I'm saying no, I don't consider that to be regime change.
Okay.
Yeah, so that right. Yeah, I wouldn't be asking that question if I just meant get rid of the top guy, and in Venezuela they have not had regime change either, right? So yeah, what I mean is, what's the word for this theocratic authoritarian government that's killing tens of thousands of their own citizens? Like, are we going to get rid of them? It's obviously more than just a couple people up top, because you don't kill tens of thousands of your citizens without a lot of people willingly playing ball with that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think you need to do the hard thing and put boots on the ground. You don't take territory without putting people there. If you want the people to quote unquote rise up, like, I think the American military probably needs to go in and arm them.
Also, the time to do that, to like help them, would have been back a few weeks ago when they were rising up, before they all got slaughtered, the ones who rose up.
Yeah, but we were busy. Come on. That's hard.
So here's a quote from Trump's video a couple days ago. "To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or in the alternative, face certain death."
Oh, if you were wondering what I trust the least, it's that. that statement. He like already killed a bunch of Iranian military personnel, and he killed a bunch of Venezuelan security forces. He has no interest in accepting surrenders. He's just doing aerial bombings. You can't surrender to a passing plane, you know?
Well, you could leave your post and head on home.
I'm sure the regime will take that well.
Yeah.
Indeed. Right. Seems a little far-fetched. I basically agree with what you guys are saying. It's like, to force this, the U.S. would have to go in deeper than an air war, unless the appetite for revolution in Iran is strong enough and enough people are being assassinated. Anyway, whatever.
You hear that? They're singing our song, Phil. We'll be greeted as liberators. They'll just be so thrilled to pull down the statues for those nice photo op moments, dude. Trump's on his way with the aircraft carrier, the mission accomplished banner, dude, any minute.
All right, so let's assume that the regime falls. Yes.
Like, before we move on, I want to say that this actually isn't. We're going a little bit far on saying they've just been doing an air war. The Navy fired its first torpedo in anger since 1950.
First torpedo in anger?
It's like a term of art, you know. They're shooting at an enemy, not just like a
not like a
practice
practice
or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
Not like they're literally angry at the control console.
Usually they're like gleefully firing their torpedoes. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was fired in ennui. Whatever. It's not even worth it. But yeah, no, we've fired the Navy, a Navy submarine fired a torpedo at an Iranian vessel and sunk it, I think. So yeah, that was the first time that Navy used a torpedo since 1950. Check on the Navy's budget. See how much we're spending on torpedoes.
Well,
you know, the first set of torpedoes were more dangerous to the people that fired them than to the people you're firing against, because they had a tendency to curve around backwards in a circle and then explode.
And I say bring it back. We need more men of courage. Men, women, no more thems. Whatever.
Okay, so let's assume that the answer to question number 1, will the Iranian regime be overthrown? Let's assume the answer is somehow yes. Question number 2, can the U.S. nation build?
No.
God. Look how we're doing here.
Short answer, no. Long answer, no.
Fuck
no.
Oh man.
Get the U.S. nation built. I mean, like, I'm picking low percentages that Trump can successfully set up a deal where he's extorting money out of them. Like,
wait, can I change my answer?
That's all he really wants to do.
Can you change your answer? Sure.
Yeah, I'm changing my answer to yes, dude. Not in Iran, but, in the past, like the Marshall Plan, you could consider that nation building.
So,
When we're
okay,
helping people out who weren't our enemies necessarily,
this
or who
is
were but aren't as bitter about it, I guess.
thank you,
Yeah,
Danny.
like
Thank
America's
you.
on the brink of revolution because in 1776, America was actively undergoing a revolution. What are you talking about? It's like
Well,
1950.
well, hold
Can we
on,
nation build?
hold on. I'm not sure that everything is so different.
Is time truly a flat circle?
I nerded out on this question some. I read one
Okay.
one of my sources for this week's episode is characteristics of successful U.S. military interventions, published by the Rand Corp in 2018 or 2019, and yeah, there's some interesting. I mean, basically, it's this analysis of all American military interventions. I guess all declassified ones, something like 200. And since 1900, approximately. Usually, U.S. military interventions are successful around 63% of the time.
I guess it kind of depends on how you define success.
It sure does. Basically, over time, we've been getting more and more ambitious with our interventions, corresponding to a downward trajectory in how successful we've been with them. It does include Japan and post-World War II and Germany. It was sort of interesting to learn some about, historically, what are the factors that they think have contributed to this going well versus not going well. And one factor is social cohesion, or like the absence of sectarian strife in the society to begin with. So not great in Iran.
Do they have a lot of sectarian violence? I thought they were pretty heavily Shia.
They have Baloch separatists, I think, as well. They have
If that's how you pronounce it. I had never heard
Balochi.
of this. I had never heard of this group.
Balochistan is like it's like on the southeastern part of Iran. It's like the Baloch people inhabit kind of like a halvesies of Pakistan and Iran.
And Afghanistan. Right. So I was looking at this, a little bit of Afghanistan too.
Okay.
Pakistan and Afghanistan, Iran. But probably
Feel like I'm
mirror
there.
image. Exactly. Yeah, I had never heard of these, but damn, Phil, were these guys in this video game you were looking at this week? Is that how you learned about these?
No. I was reading a book on India.
Okay.
But yeah, and they were talking about like early separatist movements and like the split. What's it called? Partition, yeah. So this is like
Right.
partition talk.
Yeah. So that is one group of there is the People's Fighters Front, which is the Baloches. And there's also the Kurdish, separatists towards the Turkey and Iraq borders on the opposite side. So yeah, I think that there is definitely a component of that. But right, I think that so there isn't really armed Persian resistance, as far as I know, unless there's a large transfer of weapons. I don't think many Persians are armed and ready to violently overthrow the regime.
You're given like a positive example of nation building as the Marshall Plan. But we dumped a lot of resources into West Berlin and West Germany for the Marshall Plan, all these sort of formerly Axis-controlled places.
That's true. I remember hearing that Apple has spent more money in building their factories in China than U.S. spent in Germany on the Marshall Plan. So
I believe that.
I don't think we're talking about an insane expense. Iran, whatever. If we could spend that kind of money and feel good about our chances of turning Iran into of nation building magically, then
if
that
only
sounds
we
like
had
a great
some sort
deal.
of organization that focused on international humanitarian aid. Can't think of it. Doged it right out of my mind.
Anyway, okay, some other factors that point to success in nation building are economic strength, which makes sense. The place isn't going to just be totally desperate if they have economic strength. So Iran has oil, of course. I know lots of people in the Iranian diaspora and just generally super well-educated, brilliant people with ties back home.
Yeah, they're a modern nation. They're internet accessing factory, having full-on developed nation.
That's true. They also have an interesting agriculture sector, and they have carpets. They have rugs. They export fancy rugs. So that's another. I think the rugs could save them.
Thank you for bringing this level of insight that they have Persian rugs. Thank goodness.
So here's what I'm getting at. So another resource that I looked at for this was, I think, a very interesting article in the New York Times that we'll link. They're talking about, like, what are the things that would actually help the people in Iran to build a successful future if they're able to get rid of their regime. And the concrete things that they said was sanction relief, help from the diaspora, and internet access. The point of the sanction relief and help from the diaspora is mostly to help economically to make the place prosperous.
We speculated a little bit on it in the last time we talked about Iran, but that it turns out, yes, indeed, some people in Iran do have like Starlink access. That's how we've been getting a lot of our information from people in Iran, is through American satellite companies.
It's a scary time, but I don't know, they're not shedding a tear for the Ayatollah and really wishing well. And I see some possibilities in this moment for Iran. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be ugly, especially with this president. But really, any president, it's just such a chaotic thing that probably shouldn't have done it. But here we are. So
it's a lot harder to accidentally bomb a school if you're not bombing anybody.
All right. Well, good night and good luck. Catch you next week on another, or catch you tomorrow. For another uplifting.
We're not feeling super optimistic, but we hope that the people of Iran do better than we expect them to. That's not exactly uplifting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not there. Like, I've got some shreds of hope. I have a lot of doubt, but I think the Iranian people are very motivated right now, and rightly so. And Iran's leaders are dying right now, and that's good. So it's a chaotic moment, but I think that it could go. Its country's in such a bad place that even U.S. military intervention might be a good thing. That's what I'm saying. Might be. So let us know if the U.S. military intervention worked out in the comments. See you next time.